Hi, everybody. Another year of BeShevat. I wanted to dedicate this class to everyone who needs a refuah shlema and all the blessings on this day, because today marks the day that the din is turning into chesed, and we'll go into more details. So we should be expecting a lot of brachas this month, starting tonight. So please call me when you tell me all the good news. I'm really waiting to hear them. I was looking through some of my old notes of information that we have shared with one another during past years. So that we'll do towards the end of the class and review some of what we've learned in the past. And I came across on an email by Rabbi Tinson. He sends out every holiday information that he puts together so beautifully, I have to say, and in a user-friendly way, very deep Kabbalistic thoughts and ideas and meanings behind each holiday. So that's what we're going to focus on today. And we're also going to delve into some concepts coming from Basi Lugani, since we just passed celebrating the day that the Frierdiker Rebbe, his Hilala, and also the Rebbe taking mentorship of Chabad organization. So let me give you a little brief kind of backup information about how, when I read this, it came in perfect timing, and I was so thankful to read it, and I think it'll be very nice for everyone, because basically we eat every day, 3 times a day, and in between snacks, so it's like something we do every day, and the information will bring meaning to our partaking in our service of Hashem, of taking care of our bodies, making sure that it is healthy and strong, and at the same time have good intentions, not fear intentions while doing so. Let me just get that ringer. If it's not Mashiach, I'm not answering. No, just kidding. It's got to come already. Anyway, so generally speaking, different people have different natures. Some have more of a water element, and their desire from coming from the animal soul leans toward pleasure of food. Some have more pleasure in clothing. Some have more pleasure in, the way their house is. Everyone has their own meaning for this special pleasure, and some are born kind of rigid, and they don't have any passions toward anything that gives them pleasure. They might have more maybe intellectual pleasure, of a sort. So everyone is born in a different way with their challenges. So some really like to eat, and after reading this class, it brought more meaning to me of those who do like to eat. And some actually, like me for many years, considered it a very big challenge. Because of many food allergies, what they can eat, and it's like it's a whole story. Like every move they make of what they eat is going to affect their physical well-being. And trust me, I know people way worse than me regarding these kinds of food allergies. So it hasn't been a very pleasant experience for me my whole life. Almost, not that I had panic attacks when I approached food, but a serious kind of endeavor. And I always also felt like it's kind of getting in my way, like whether I have to prepare it or clean up after, or even while eating it. Like I want to get to the next mitzvah. I want to get to the next thing to bring joy to someone else. Or even when I was just having children, I was like, I want to be with my children. I don't want to eat. Like, I don't want to take time out of my day to just play with them, teach them, whatever. It was always like a very heavy burden of a sort. And it sounds strange, but I always ask Hashem to forgive me because there's people out in Timbuktu, places in the world where they don't have food, and they would be like, "What chutzpah you're talking like that?" So I've always had to have that battle within me. So with that in mind, we know that today we are in the month of Shvat. And after reading this, it really brought me some resolution and peace to my service of Hashem regarding eating. So there's the introduction. And so the Rav Dov Ber-Pinson, he brings out that in Sefer Yetzirah, we know that each month has special qualities. Each month has special letters that are the letter of the month or the body part of the month. And he's going to go through all this in a journey of a sort to help us unleash all the powers that we have access to in the month of Shvat, including the powers of Tu B'Shvat in itself. So we're going to discover some of the deeper meanings of this month, and this will help us really draw down these powers into our lives. The first 2 weeks of the month of Shvat is, as we said earlier, it's a time of din. And he brings this out from the name of Hashem, the way it's spelled out in this month, that it is Hey and Yud that's backwards, so that it's backwards then Chesed, it's judgment. But starting to the Shvat, the second part of Hashem's name, Vav Hey, is in regular order, which is drawing down kindness into the world. So there's a lot of chesed being flowing into the world, and now he's going to tell us how can we activate this shift of going from judgment to chesed in our own lives. And what we're trying to do is when the shift happens from Gvura to chesed, it's like we're moving from constriction, as it were, to expansion. And we want to expand our holiness in every way, including the way we eat. So we know that during this time period, we go back in time, the time period where Adam and Chava really had the first sin, and it was regarding the way they went toward their passion for that fruit. And so we're actually going to spend the time this last 2 weeks of this month to, and especially tonight, really begin the rectification of that sin. And we know that generally speaking, food does bring pleasure, but it's really the deeper meaning behind our pleasure in eating is really coming from the spiritual element of the food and the word of Hashem that actually created that food. And he brings the passage, for not on the bread alone will man live, rather from the word of Hashem. Because it's the word of Hashem that's deeply rooted in that food that the person is desiring. And there is a spiritual reality within this physicality of the food. And it's very holy. And when we partake in the food, it's like we're trying to expand the realm of our physical pleasure. But we're not aware of it. So reading this, I could really connect to people who have addictions with food. And Rabbi Pinson actually so brilliantly pointed out that what they're really missing is spirituality. And so they're attaching themselves to food in some way to attach to the spirituality that's lacking in their life. And it could be for other addictions as well. So we know that on the first day of Shvat, Moshe Rabbeinu had the Torah, and he translated it into 70 languages of the world. And this happened on the first day of Shvat. Again, another way by which we're seeing how he tried to expound the boundaries of holiness and bring it into the mundane world to bring his wisdom to all. So again, a theme of expanding. The letter of the month, he says, is Tzaddik. And Tzaddik is also a righteous man. And how does a righteous man or enlightened person eat? Well, he's trying to eat for the satisfaction of the body in order to be able to serve Hashem. And he has a purpose in nourishing his body. And he says, generally speaking, the more enlightened, and of course the loftier your soul is, the more you'll make the right choices and healthy choices in nourishing your body. And in that purpose of wanting to nourish your body to serve Hashem, that brings satisfaction. Now remember where I started off in my story, where it seems to be like such a burden. Now we can, for those of you who experience it like I do, but now it's a different look. Becoming satisfied with nourishing your body to serve Hashem. Not like seeing it as a distraction in the service of Hashem. So his eating is spiritual, and he's really satisfying his soul and his body. Now, he says like an unenlightened person may eat the same amount of the food, and even the same food, but he didn't eat for deeper purposes, so he actually exacerbates his physical and spiritual hunger. So that the more he, right, exactly, because he's still yearning for that spiritual satisfaction. The name of the month is Shvat, and as we said, if you look at the letters, Shin, Beit, Taf, it's related to the word Shabbos. So again, the theme is delight, pleasure, because we know on Shabbos everything gets elevated, and it's a mitzvah to delight and have pleasure in everything, especially the Shabbos Tish. So he mentions that in the Akkadian language, in the Assyrian Babylonian language, Shavat was the word Shabbatu, which again is showing the connection to Shabbat, the pleasure. So, now the Arizal says that on Shabbos there's no waste and everything can be elevated. And there was once a Talmud Chacham, and he was called Shabbos because he was a wise person who embodied the spirit of Shabbos, and he was able to bring the holiness of Shabbos into all week long, service of eating. So, also he said in Sefer Yetzirah, every month has a particular sense, and this month is the sense of taste. Leita, sorry, I didn't check that before, but it refers to taste, and he brings a pasuk in Tehillim 34, pasuk 9. Tamu ur'ei ki tov Hashem. Taste and see that Hashem is good. So Rabbi Avnei Zink interprets this verse, taste and see that all goodness is in fact Hashem. So even the taste and the pleasant taste of food are no longer a mundane reality, but are really holy in themselves. even as you're tasting something very delicious. So when you eat for the sake of heaven, for the purpose of strengthening yourself, for contemplative prayer or study, or, yes, it's a very high practice. And he says there's even a higher level of partaking in food. Higher than, okay, I need to eat, so I'll have strength, so I can now serve Hashem. Okay, let me get this service over with. Like, that's like a means to an end. But actually, but partaking in and itself is a higher way of relating to food, even as high as that was, and not having, passions for indulging in food. He brings out the pasuk, Bechol Derachecha De'elu. In all of your ways, know Hashem. So that while you're eating, you actually, the Baal Shem Tov teaches us, are creating yichudim. What are yichudim? Bringing Hashem's name into wholesomeness. The Shekhinah is here, ailing, waiting, in exile. It wants to be united with the higher levels of godliness that are up in the higher world. So when we eat, especially kosher, and we say a bracha, of course, with the right intentions, and be able to have a power to serve Hashem and strength, but now we can have an added meditation of a sort, that we're bringing in wholesomeness to Hashem. We're uniting the Shekhinah, the Yud-K with the Vav-K, as we say every day in our prayer. So eating can create yichudim, and this is a unification between the physical and the spiritual. And this comes from Toldos Yaakov Yosef and Parshas Vayera, page 141. So, now each month has a specific tribe. This month is the tribe of Asher. And what is Asher all about and the blessings that he got? Guess what? A lot of parnasa, of Gashmiudic blessings. It represents fat, rich, delicious in his produce. Really, Asher is connected to the concept of enjoyment of food. Now, if you look at the name Asher, Aleph, Shin, Resh, if you reverse it, it has the acronym of Rosh Shanos Ilanos, Rosh Hashanah of the trees. And that is an epithet for Tu BeShevat. So, it actually, the each letter of Asher, if you turn it around, it's each word of this celebration of the Rosh Hashanah of the tree. Also, Asher has the meaning of Osher, affluence. Delicious foods, such as fruits, represent affluence, since they are not usually considered staples, and as are bread and water. And on Tu BeShevat, our custom is to taste this royal array of exotic and delicious fruits. So, other related words to Asher is Ashrei, which means exalted, and it comes from the sphera of Keser, because Keser is really exalted level of holiness in the manner of Seder Shtal Shalut before the creation of the world. And up there, everything is equal. There's no disunity. There's no division. Everything is one in Keser. But yet, up there is delight, Tanug. And all of the delight of this world is rooted in this high, lofty place. So, there is such a thing of holy delight, even as one is involved in the pleasures of this physical world. So what we're trying to do is get to a point where everything tastes as equal to us, because then we can really delight in the earth's abundance without being harmed. Everything is the same, right? And it says here that there was Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, and his home was full of the richest of foods and delicacies. But in the end of his life, what did he proclaim? I did not partake in the pleasures of this world, not even by the measure of a small finger. Because if when he delighted in this rich food, it was a state of exaltation, a state of delight in Hashem and his creation. And if you look at Bereshit, it says, from all the fruit you shall eat, just not from the tree of good and evil. This means that you may eat freely from every tree. But the meaning behind this one point, don't eat from the tree of good or evil. And what's that message to us? Don't make distinctions between the fruits. You should feel that that all feel and taste the same to you. Have all the fruits you want, but don't touch that one, the good and evil, the difference between good and evil. Don't make such a distinction and try to make everything as equal in your eyes. I mean, if you're allergic to it, it's another story. Or you're following a very special diet that's for your health. So, now we're going to look at the body part of the month. The body of the part is stomach. And according to the reading, the body part, why the stomach? Well, we know that the stomach grinds the food. So why not the teeth? Wouldn't it be that, the body part of the month? Why the stomach? Well, the stomach is in, deeper, representing more symbolic, esoteric meanings behind our participation in the process of delighting in Hashem's physical world. It's the inner process. Right. So it helps us rectify this month of Shvat, the inner processing of food, meaning the deeper issues behind our participation in eating. So we're trying to get into the deeper spiritual realities within our food. We're trying to have more mindfulness and holiness. And in this way, guess what? We can diminish the din in our lives and restore the flow of chesed. Isn't that interesting? By the way we eat, we can have an impact on transforming the din, the judgments or decrees that are out there for us into more mercy, more holiness, more blessings by being more cognizant of the way we eat. Everybody wants more chesed. Everybody wants to have more good revealed blessings in our lives, and the way we eat is connected to it. Now let's get to the celebration of the new year of the trees. Now we know that Shvat means rod. And usually rod is like, spare the rod, spoil the child. The rod usually is like a symbol of severity, strictness, gevura, judgment. And there is an allusion to this in the Rosh Hashanah of the trees. But in reality, the judgment of the trees is much earlier in the year. Because really, Tu B'Shvat is a new beginning of the fruit of the tree. So the fruit is something sweet. The rod comes from the bark of the tree, like not the bark, what is it called? The trunk of the tree. But Tu B'Shvat, we're really celebrating the fruit of the tree. And we know that the Tu B'Shvat is also mystically related to Tu B'Av, because Tu B'Av represents a subconscious glimmer of love that led to the act of creation. So God had in thought to create the world, and it came from a place of love. And the thought of it was during previous to, like the first period of time of creation. Tu B'Av was when he thought in his mind, coming from a place of love to create the world, even though he created it 6 months later. So Tu B'Shvat is really the first glimmer of love before the act of creation. So we're talking about a period of time of such immense holy desire by Hashem, coming from such a place of love, of wanting to give. Because, if you're such a giver and you don't have anyone to give, it's very painful. God is such a giver, and he wanted to create creation that he can give. He really did it for our sake. As many times we learned about this desire of his to give us the opportunity to earn a relationship with him. He was willing to part from us because he wanted us to feel the best in our relationship so that we chose him and ran after him, so that we would feel dignity in our relationship with Hashem and not like a bread of shame relationship with God. And if we notice, during the time of Tu B'Shvat, it's when, in the Jewish law, we learn that it's the new sap that begins to stir and flow within the fruit trees of the land of Israel. And the sap is what's the sweetness of the fruit. That's when it starts to come out. And that's in Tu B'Shvat, the sweetness is starting to come out. Less judgment, more chesed. And this will nourish us the entire year. Amen. B'ezrat Hashem. So what we're doing on Tu B'Shvat really is preparing our eating for the entire year. Because we're trying to get to a state of participating in the spiritual endeavor of nourishing our bodies, so we can get back to the place like Adam and Chava before their spiritual fall, when they had a lusting for that fruit and ate from it. And it came about through impulsively eating from a tree. And what we're trying to do is expand our spiritual practice of eating. And as we're eating the fruits of Tu B'Shvat, and they're sweet, and they're delightful, and another fruit, it's symbolic of our wanting to expand our delight in eating for the sake of having a higher level than, I got to eat, and I have to eat because, I want to be healthy and strong to serve Hashem. But to really partake in delighting while eating for the sake of the yichudim that were, godliness that are being extracted and combined, and wholesomeness of spiritual energies that are coming just in the service of eating. Again, not for something as a means to an end to then serve Hashem. It is a service then and there. And we're expanding our delight by delighting in the service of eating. And that, again, is symbolic of Tu B'Shvat, when we're going to be participating in all these sweet fruits, representing to us this tikkun. Now, previous classes we have studied how the minhag, the Kabbalistic minhag, you have 4 cups of wine. You can have grape juice. Going from light to a little darker red, to a little darker red, to even like fully dark red wine. And we partake in fruits that are first very concealed fruit that have hard shells, maybe even a coconut, but fruits that have peels that you can't eat. And we move from fruits then that have a pit, and we go from one fruit to the next to a fruit that doesn't have a hard shell, but there's a shell. it's edible, to fruits that don't have any shells and no pits. So what is the meaning behind this endeavor? Is that it's symbolic of us wanting, let's start with the wine. Wine represents vitality and joy and life, like almost like the blood of our neshama, of our nefesh. It's like representing our lifeline and our energy and our strength. So we're trying to increase in our joy, increase in our vitality in serving Hashem, going into a darker, meaning more red-looking, life-giving, like symbolism of the way we serve Hashem. Not just do it, okay, we have to do it and let's get it over with. But with more blood, as it were, with more energy, with more vitality. And on the other hand, at the same time, we're partaking in fruits, going from those that are the fruits that are concealed with a hard shell to one that doesn't even have a pit. So the hard shell, as we know, represents klipa, and klipa represents the separation between ourselves and godliness, and what we need to do to break free, to get to that inner, sweet, positive, loving, angelic person that we are, that we're going from breaking our best and trying to remove the shells that are separating us from who we really are, and at the same time getting to a place where our actions on the outside are going to be like melting away. We're like shedding off the negativity of our actions, and the pit inside represents the inner battles that are needing to be refined as well. Not only having that control but inside you're like tempted and challenged, and the thoughts and the desires, so that through and through, inside and out, there will be no hard exterior and no hard interior. That it will all be sweet, pleasant, and all the harshness will be eradicated, both inside and out. So Rabbi Pinson brings out 4 levels, and I'll just word for word read what he says here regarding our participation in the process of serving Hashem through food. 1 is the lowest, of course, and not desirable, and 4 is the highest, very desirable level. So to impulsively indulge in food, this is the way of the mundane world, and this represents a tendency toward addiction. 2, there's another level of, and it was a service back in the olden days, but it's not recommended these days. In fact, Al-Farabi says it could be a sin against us if we do this, because this generation, we're too weak to do this. There's a level of service where a person wants to fast and stay away from the pleasures of the world and hide in a cave and roll in snow and So it says to fast, or to separate oneself from the indulgence in the pleasure of eating. This is a way of self-rectification, but it should only be like to a prescribed level. Meaning the days that we should fast, the days of as Rambam would say, if you have a problem, go to the opposite extreme to get to the middle path. It's a means to an end. Because we want to reach a higher level where we don't have to run away from the material life that we have. Because we are in a body. We need to eat. We need to keep helping. The 3rd is to exercise equanimity in relation to the pleasure of eating. This is a way of transcendence. And the fourth is to take pleasure in the divine essence within the food. And this is called the holy pleasure, as we were mentioning earlier in the class. And this is a very high level of eating. To be able to go beyond even eating for the sake of serving Hashem, as we said earlier, as a means to the end. So, and we try to get to this level of equanimity, whether the taste of the food is pleasurable or not. Or to try to bring more pleasure, even if it's not so pleasurable in itself. And hopefully we'll get to such an ecstatic delight. And we're trying on Tu BeShevat to let go of our attachment to taste, Rabbi Pinson says, and actualize a deeper state of equanimity as we're actually partaking in these delicious fruits and delicacies, because we're trying to get to a level of tasting the divine presence and expand the boundaries of holiness and trying to permeate the world with this light of wisdom. So that way we can restore and correct and do a tikkun on what Adam and Chava did and bring more chesed into the world. There was once a story I read for Tu BeShevat, if you think about all the chesed Hashem wants to give us. Yeah, look at all these countries all over the world, riches and, so many people suffering in Israel. They can't put food on their table. It's just unbelievably not as it's supposed to be, seemingly. What's the story here? Here we are celebrating Tu BeShevat, the delicacies and the bounciness and affluence of Hashem, and yet even in Eretz HaKodesh, some of the most, Yamach Shemam Arab countries are, it's a whole other shiur in itself, really, but I'm just bringing a point that once the story goes like this. A man came to a rabbi, said, complaining, look at the Jewish people, how they're suffering. What's going on here? And he goes, let me give you a story. There was once a king who had two sons. One was rebellious, wicked, and the other was so pleasant, so honoring his father. And every year, they would both come at the same time, and the father would give the wicked son, the servants were commanded to give the wicked son 5 bags of gold. And then the humble son, the servants were told, to give 1 bag of gold coins. I hear this, they didn't understand. They could all see the difference. The other son always came and visited. The wicked one only came when he needed money. So the king then said, I can't bear my other son, but I'm his father. Here, I give him so he won't come back so often. I give him what he needs so he's gone for a while. But my younger son, I want to see him more often. So I give him a little so he'll come. So basically, Hashem wants us to be close to him. He wants us to pray for what we need and come back to him again and again through prayer by being a little more needy. So now I want to go into this Basi Lagani. I'm sorry, it was a snowstorm on Wednesday and I didn't get here and I wasn't able to record the class, unfortunately. But I at least want to review some of the concepts that we were learning last week. One was Yud Shvat, when we every year study this book at this time period. Basi Lagani, in Hebrew, but Lagani is I'm coming into my garden. And God actually tells us to the Jewish people Because since the time of Adam and Chava and the first sin, and every generation following for 7 generations, basically Hashem was getting more and more disgusted with the world and left his presence from the world and went from one heaven to another heaven, so he was 7 heavens away from us. His radiance, his light, his connection was diminishing by the generations that were sinning right and left. Come Abraham and 7 generations of tzaddikim, up to Moshe Rabbeinu, Hashem went down and entered another heaven, and still he returned to his garden. So a garden is also represents like a bridal chamber of where the husband and wife unite on the night of their wedding. So it's like it's metaphorical of our happiness and joy of Hashem, our groom, coming back into his garden, into his bridal chamber, to be united with us. And in this explanation of this mimer is that everything we do, every mitzvah, every kindness, we draw God more into the world, and that's the purpose of our being created. Now, it's interesting, in Tanya, the last couple of days of Tanya actually is explaining what happens when we do mitzvah. And it gives different metaphors. 1, a metaphor of a chariot and a rider, a metaphor of a unification of body and soul, and then total unity. Like when we participate in the mitzvah, the actual organ that is involved in that mitzvah becomes united with Hashem like a chariot and a rider. Right? The chariot is going where the rider is directing it to go. And they're together. They're moving together. They're one with each other. But they're not really one with each other. They're together. So when our organ is participating in this mitzvah, we become united with Hashem like organ and like chariot and a rider. We're bringing God down here, and now we're together. We drew Hashem's presence down here. The actual physical action of doing it actually brings a unity with Hashem like body and soul. Like, I have a soul in me. We're all one. I can't separate myself between body and soul right now. Thank God I'm alive. And when I want to move my hand, it's like, wow, interesting, it just moves. There's such a unity between my soul, and I don't even have to think thinking, wow. Or even how about look at the blood that's flowing through all my body. It just happens. We're so united. It's like everything's happening in oneness. But still, the body and the soul is separate. An example I once gave many years ago is like with a sponge in water. You take the sponge, you put the sponge on top of the water. Now you lift up the sponge, water is in it. They're one, but it's really separate. As soon as you squeeze it, the water comes out. An exact opposite is when you make, let's say, tea and honey, and you swirl it around, and now where's the honey? Like it became so one with the tea that there's no, unless you really take it to someplace and evaporate it again or something. But but at that moment, it's the distinction between the honey and the. So when we do mitzvahs, we actually become like the sponge with the water, united with Hashem. We're together, like body and soul. When we learn Torah, we become so united with Hashem, there's no distinction between the two of us. We're one with Him, like the Havdil, of course, the Tzvi and the Honey. So each mitzvah we do brings a unity. We bring God into the chamber of this world, and we become united. And if we only knew the Alter Rebbe said, like we would just like be beside ourselves and have such awe of this this understanding. Because even all of the higher world can't even absorb this divine light and this unity. They would burn out of existence. So the author is saying there's such greatness to learning Torah that's greater than even all of the mitzvahs, because it affects such unity within the supernal world, in the world down here, and that's why, like, when one really thinks about how lofty a person would just, like, be in such awe when he's participating in this mitzvah of learning Torah, to imagine that he's truly fused in perfect unity with Hashem's will, with the light of the Or and Sof. It's such a lofty level that even the upper and lower worlds are truly nothing in comparison with it, meaning him being involved or she being involved in this study. And everything is nothing at all. Because even the higher worlds can only have a minute glow of this light. And they would revert to nothingness if they were to experience this light of the Torah, like that when we do, we don't. And when we learn Torah, it actually brings and animates them, but only from an external way. The light of our learning beams up, and from like an exterior way, like brings energy to them. They can't even internalize this light. We, when we learn Torah, are able to internalize this light, but it actually can bring healing of our mind, body, and soul. They can't. The higher world cannot internalize this light. And all this, we can get to a state of feeling Hashem because we're in such awe of our having been chosen to be able to experience this internalized holiness. So much so that in Bhakti Vagani, in chapter 2, that when we really realize, in the beginning, like the animal soul, too, can't really connect to this divinity. And our job in this world is to infuse this light into this animal soul. Again, even the angels can't experience this light, but our animal soul can. Because when we meditate on these spiritual concepts, then the animal soul can also comprehend it. And the animal soul then draws nearer and is more desirous of attaching itself to this holiness. And then eventually it'll continue to a point that the animal soul then actually becomes transformed from its bestiality, from its indulgence in food and materialism and the unholy character traits of anger and sadness and what have you. And it becomes elevated and consumed by these like fiery coals of the divine soul's yearning to be united with Hashem. And just like when the Beit HaMikdash, the animal soul, the animal was sacrificed and the fire would burn away the animal, the negative aspects of our animal soul becomes like as metaphorically speaking, burned away from ingesting this holy light and the desire and our yearning for having this unity with Hashem. And he brings the pasuk, the Rav Tovaot Bekoach. Oh, sorry, sure. I'll say it in English. There are many harvests in the strength of an ox. The stronger the ox, the more you can produce. So there is a good in our ox, in our animal soul. When he harnesses his powers of his animal soul in the service of Hashem, when a person offers a spiritual sacrifice within oneself, and he then refines and elevates his animal soul, then his darkness will be turning into light. When we refine the way we eat, when we refine the way we act in the process of eating, slowness, meditation, contemplation, not eating more than we really need, especially if it's going to make us sleepy and tired and weigh us down. So then we actually make a sanctuary for Hashem and He to dwell within us. And we have to be careful. If we do indulge, God forbid, so we're a little tired. Okay, so what? Well, you could have served Hashem. You could have done a lot of more things in your life. But guess what? Not only did you not have time to do more holiness in your life, especially like energy and life to be with your children, or energy and life to please your husband in whatever way that he's waiting for you. But what's going on? In chapter 3 of BeShevat, this is what it says. When we get to a point of indulging in this way, in whatever way that we indulge in materialism, then the spirit of folly has more of a place to reside within us, ruach shtut. Then we become, this ruach shtut deadens our sensitivity. Then the power of one's physical drives and the burning urgency of the animal soul's desire then cools one's ardor and numbs one's sensitivity for spiritual things. So it's like a cycle of degradation. So we get involved in it, we feed our animal soul soul gets stronger. The ruach shtut has a comfortable place to reside. And then, lo and behold, the urgency and the desires of the animal soul grows, and then again indulgence, and then we become numb, God forbid. If someone can become, the spiritual ardor becomes cooled off and not passionate. And then, chas v'chalila, if you look at the word, olam comes from the word Helen, which is hidden, obscurity, so that we become our godliness. Our godly soul becomes more and more hidden as we partake too much in the world in a way that's not holy. So in chapter 14, it says here, V'ata mechayeh et kulam. You give life to them all. And we know that God's life is drawn down into this world and creates everything, the sweet food and the bitter. It comes from a pasuk, a ray of reflection of the radiation of Hashem's light is found in all beings that were created, formed and made. He feeds the whole world, from the buffalo to the brood to the vermin. And it comes down even to the lowest of lowest level. Oh, this reminds me of a song. It's one of a CD that I actually heard this beautiful song. It's like all these love songs to her husband, but it's also love songs to Hashem. And her husband and her wife are singing to each other. So one of the songs is, I wish I could sing like that. But, oh, thank you. Thank you, lady. You're welcome. So, if I soar up to the heavens, you are there. You are there. You are there. If I make my bed in the abyss, behold, you are there. You are there. You are there. No matter what you're going through, with you, Hashem, are there. No matter what He takes away from you or gives you have to remember, Hashem, you are there. You are there. You are there. And the more we have this meditation, no matter what's going on in our life, that He is there. This awareness that He's always there is a profound meditation on how great Hashem is and how He's drawn down level by level through all the stages of this progression of spiritual world, down to the lowliest of creatures, down to the lowliest tragedies, challenges, things that aren't so pleasant. And even the most simplest of men can comprehend this concept. This is the greatness of Hashem. We have to humble ourselves. Say, who are we to not realize that He is there? We're so simple. We can't understand Hashem's ways. So many multitudes of creations. And He says, the more we meditate upon this, and now every time I hear her CD, what is her name? I forgot. But she's my friend Vasquez's sister. Okay, I'm going to have to look at her name. And I'll mention it, God willing, another time. But, oh, you have it in the car? Okay. No, it's at the end of the car. Okay. So, God is great. And the more we meditate on such a concept, this has a tumultuous reaction in one's soul, and it has such a power. And you can ignite this by just observing the world around you and how God is there. And I want to just bring out two more points, and then we'll do a meditation. In page 18 of Vasudagani, we know that God created the world. I mean, every Jew has to say to himself, for me, was the world created? And most people say, we should really, there's a type of, holy arrogance of a sort. Oh, I'm so important. Look, I have a godly spark in me. And, a person has to feel holy. But at the same time, one has to understand that for me was God's initial self-concealment and self-limitation created so that I should seek out the divine element within the world and elevate it. So that whatever is in our life, whether it's the food, yummy food, my job, the whole world was created for me so that I would have an opportunity to elevate the world and find these sparks within everything that I'm doing and elevate it. And we do have the power. The Rebbe at the end of this book mentioned that the seventh generation, which is our generation, just like Moshe was the seventh one to bring the Shekhinah and God's presence back into the holy Gan, into the holy chamber of this world. so too this generation are considered the seventh, and every one of us is a very cherished. Like Moshe Rabbeinu was the seventh, and like the Rebbe was the seventh Chabad Rebbe, was very cherished. And that we have enormous powers, because we are the cherished seventh generation, to accomplish this task of turning darkness into light. Whether those that are suffering from sadness, from loss of family members, or there's those who are suffering from ailments, whatever it is, we have an extraordinary power to turn this darkness into light. And not only can we must. And definitely that's going to bring Mashiach that much faster and closer. And I will just read from the Rebbe's writing. What page did I say was? 58. It is demanded of each and every one of us, of the seventh generation, and all that are in the seventh are cherished. Although the fact that we are in the seventh generation is not the result of our own choosing and our own service, and indeed, in certain ways, perhaps contrary to our will, nevertheless, all those who are the seventh are cherished. We are now very near to the approaching footsteps of Mashiach. We are the conclusion of this period, and our spiritual task is to complete the process of drawing down the Shekhinah, moreover, the essence of the Shekhinah, within specifically our lowly world. Remember, fast even while you're eating. And especially to BeShevat, we will have a wholesome meditation of this rectification, even in regards to expanding the world with more holy delight. And I hope you have a beautiful Tu BeShevat, and we can pass this tzedakah along. And, I wanted to show you, interesting, I wish I could show everybody who's out there. For a month, I've been wanting to download this on my computer. Oh, my gosh, it's really nice. The flavor of Basi Ragami and Tu BeShevat, a garden. So I wanted to let everyone know that this will be the cover of my upcoming book. We're like 20 pages away from the final editing, and then, we have a little more footnote work to do, but I wanted to get everyone's approval that this is a pretty picture. It's going to be gorgeous. The book is about marriage. I also wanted to mention, it was on Black Friday, I don't like to say that, but there was a super sale that someone bought like almost $2,000 worth of products from the Gia company, and she got it for the 30 plus another 10%, 40% off sale on the pendants and the harmonizers and cell chips to protect you from radiation, and universals, which are also like chips that you put on products in your home, like computers, and so it's 40% off the normal price, and I'm selling it to whoever wants at her cost price. So at least to do her a favor. Anyway, blessings, and we'll do a meditation. So those of you who have to go, please do. I know. Oh, okay. And thank you for joining. Oh, no, it's okay. Oh my God. Oh, wow. This is really nice. Oh, it's going to be so nice. How did you do that? Thank you, Janet. Devorah. Wow, who did this for you? You? I don't believe it. It's so professional. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Because I had to redo some. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Beautiful. So we can look at this dam here. Look at this gorgeous house. For those of you who are on the phone, it's a chuppah on a garden, and it's really something. When I saw it, I fell in love with it. Just look at this picture before we do our meditation of Hashem, bringing Hashem into the garden. And every mitzvah we do draws Hashem into this garden. back into the world which He created. And we'll just close our eyes, and with every breath that we take, just bring in a wave of relaxation. And at the same time, start paying attention to the way in which your desire now is even greater. As you're breathing in, it's like you want to breathe in godly pleasure, delight, in every move that you make. We can do some exercises to help our body feel more relaxed. We can do some sphincter muscle exercises. We can squeeze our eyes as they're closed and unsqueeze them as they stay closed. We can do about 10 of them. And you can pluck your lips where your top lip reach like the lower part of your nose. And now we can curl our tongue inside of our mouth. Like a V almost, or a U. We can tighten all facial muscles by tightening our forehead, our eyes, our cheekbones, and our lips. And let go and tighten again. And let go. Taking a deep breath. And we can move our tongue from the right part of the bridge of where our teeth are to the left. Now we can take our fingers and press in our earlobes that are the little part of the earlobe that folds across so that we can't hear. So we pinch it in and pinch it out, just by pressing in and pressing out, by letting go. And now we can pinch the inner earlobe, and pressure, pinching and unpinching. Now we can move our head to the right, to the left, and a half a circle to the right, our head, and half a circle to the left, with our chin kind of almost touching our chest. And lifting our shoulders up, and then bringing it down, lifting our shoulders up, and bringing it down, and now lifting it up and keeping it there, and now really slowly bringing it down. Taking a deep breath, and now we just our body feels more relaxed. And you can see that picture of that garden, and all the orchards and all the trees. So you can see trees with hard shells, fruits with hard shells, representing the exterior behaviors that we need to rectify. can have a vision of ourselves having been refined and elevated to the point where we're actually peeling off that hard exterior. Whatever that particular character trait needs fixing. And as we see from one tree to the next, we're moving from outer refinement to inner refinement. To a fruit tree that has refined itself from the outside, but yet has a thick pit. What needs refining within you? What thought processes can still be elevated and refined? Where do you need to war against thoughts coming from the Yetzer Hara? Because once you have warred against it, you will have simcha. You'll have removed that pit, and your innards will be full of joy in service of Hashem, full of joy to just think godly thoughts, holy thoughts. Like, you are there, you are there, my love, my friend, by Rachel Mati, you are there. These are the holy thoughts that are going to now be your innards. It will actually remove that pit that is keeping you away from serving Hashem, the Simcha. Calm, flowing thoughts, like a beautiful stroll in a garden, not rushed, not gushing, not taking over, no negativity inside. Seeing yourself going from one tree to the next, refining yourself from the outside in, and there it is, all the delicious fruits right before your eyes, and a beautiful BeShevat Seder. And you realize, I want to now bring delight into every act of my day, rectifying the past, even in regards of how I would eat or how I wouldn't eat. See yourself elevating your service of not only partaking in food only for the sake of Hashem so that you could serve Hashem, but now for the service of itself of bringing Yehudim, wholesomeness, drawing the Shekhinah to unite with Hashem in this endeavor, and expanding the delight in the world. Feel now the gates of heaven opening up and like a flooding of blessings. Remember, refining the way we eat and bringing an expansion of the holy delight in our endeavors to bring godliness to the world through eating, bring chesed, transforms dinim. One has now the revelation. See more goodness in your life the way you want it. See your life full of joy, happiness, and reason to be joyful and happy because the blessings are revealed in your life where you can see it with your own eyes. Nachas from your children, parnasa, health, everything, just blessings. Ad bli dai, ad bli dai, 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 dai. bless you really for a beautiful week. I hope your Tu BeShevat is more meaningful and that we, with joy, do the tikkun and elevate every part of our day in joy and serving Hashem and bringing joy to Him. And thank you for coming out and joining me.